Okay, so this is the second Let's Talk that I'm recording. The first one is already like edited and I rendered out the video. I just need to upload it to YouTube because that's the best place I can think about putting it. So I'll do that sometime, either today or tomorrow, and we'll get this talk also uploaded onto YouTube. Um, Yeah, and it's all raw, uncut audio, so I just haven't had the time to go in and like chop up the audio to so that's like all nice and perfect. Uh, yeah, I noticed like quite a few of you have been mentioning like, oh, like Mello, you juggle so much, or you do so much, or like some concerns with like how do I manage all my time. So I thought time management would be a good talk topic for today. um, One thing that I would really highly suggest is getting in the habit of writing and having some kind of agenda or weekly planner. And trust me, like I have a productivity weekly planner, but I don't use it all the time. I take it out when I feel like stuff is getting too crazy and I need to just like map it out on paper. I have one of those planners where you can put like your own dates, so that way I don't have to follow a yearly calendar. I can just like put in what days it is. Yeah. I should probably use a planner now because like I have so many things that I'm juggling. It's crazy, from like doing my social medias, working freelance, running the server, running events, working on my NFT project if I can, doing Muay Thai, which is my exercise, my daily exercise, and keeping up with the relationship, which I just came back from having breakfast with my boyfriend and his kids. It was awesome. And and yeah, it's kind of like, sometimes even I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing everything. And I keep thinking, oh, at what point am I going to gas out or burn out? Burnout is real. And that's something you really got to take into consideration when managing your time. Understand that if you over schedule yourself more than you can normally handle, there's a good chance you'll burn out. But that's not to say you shouldn't try pushing yourself to the limits. For those of you that are like in your 20s, my crew, which is like my instructor at Muay Thai, he says when you're in your 20s, it is the best time to push yourself to the max. Because like when you're in your 20s, you have the most energy that you're gonna have in your life, aside from being a kid. But like your 20s is an adult time. Like you can do adult things, and you can try new things because you can make money, you can travel, you can do all sorts of stuff when you're an adult. So he says you should push yourself uh, as far as you can, so that you know what your limits are and you know how far you can go. And of course, he's speaking in terms of Muay Thai, but he's also speaking in terms of life. He's like, try as many things as you can while you're young, because yeah, you're gonna have the most energy at this point in your life. Once you like get past 30, you're gonna find that your energy levels are not what they used to be. Your body's gonna start aching more. Like I'm only 27, I'm turning 28 this month, and I definitely feel not less productive or not as strong, but I'm noticing stuff like joint stiffness in my fingers, and that's probably from drawing a lot. Back pains because again, drawing a lot, bad posture. Um, it's taking me longer to recover from like heavy activity, like doing Muay Thai. During COVID, and I think we can all say we felt this. Like I'm pretty sure everyone felt this. during COVID, it was just so hard to be productive. Like, I just felt so lethargic, fatigued, even though I wasn't doing anything. I find that when you actually do less activity, you're just capable of less because you're tired and you're not getting the blood flowing. You're just sitting around, which is why I highly suggest, if you want to keep your energies up, exercise is important. Get the body moving, even if it's like a 30-minute walk or a 10-minute walk. It is way better than just sitting around, because if you sit around, your body is moving at, like, your blood and everything is moving at a resting like rate. And so when you're resting, you're conserving energy. So you're moving, your body itself is moving slower. So then there's less like new oxygen and new blood reaching your brain, and that's why people feel tired when they're not doing as much. This whole week I started doing Muay Thai every single day. Before, I would go about 3 times a week, but I'm training for this Blue Shorts test that's coming up, and it's basically like a level up, but you got to do the examination in order to level up, and you're being tested by like your own instructors, so like the people above them, or equals. So like you don't want to look stupid in front of them, so you gotta train hard. And yeah, I've been going every single day this week, and you'd think, oh, because I'm ramping up my exercise schedule or my exercise time and effort, that I'd be more tired throughout the week. I've actually found quite the opposite to be happening. I find that I have way more energy, and I feel like ready to go. Like I'm ready to take on the day, or ready to get to work. I'll admit I don't want to sit down as much because my blood is like pumping. I want to like move. I want to work with my hands and walk around. But I gotta sit and do art. But that just goes to show that, like, when you're more active physically, your brain is actually more active because it's like awake. But listen, you don't gotta go as extreme as me. Again, like going on frequent walks, or just getting up, pacing around the house every so often between your work. If you have a sitting job, like, very important to walk around every hour, get the blood moving. Because last thing we want is any blood clots, because that could lead to some bad shit. But yeah, so that's just a little blurb about keeping energy up, because I think energy is really important with time management. Like understanding your limits and understanding your gas tank. How big is it? And again, you'll only know if you push yourself. So when I was young, I used to work 60 to 80-hour weeks at a studio, and I got paid shit. And obviously it's not ideal. Like, who wants to work that many hours a week? Like, the standard is 40 hours a week, but millennials, we've been working 50 to 60 hours now on average. But because I did that while I was young and a little dumb, I pushed, and now I know, like, these are my limits. I can work these hours. I won't be happy, but I know I can do it. So best to push yourself and see what you're capable of while you're young. And yes, this is being recorded. I'll be posting them up on YouTube. The one that I recorded, the last Let's Talk, will be uploaded sometime today or tomorrow, depending when I find the time to do it and let my computer just do its thing. But I basically just run some chill animation, and I'll have the talk over on top. But yeah, it's mostly for you guys. It's not like, oh, I'm trying to monetize off this, because clearly I'm not putting the efforts into making a really nice podcast. And I don't think I'm necessarily the podcasting type, but yeah, everything's for you guys. Everything I do is for everyone here. Yeah. If you push too far, that's okay. You take a step back, rest, recuperate. That's also a part of knowing how to manage your time. Um, look at my mouse a bit. Computer fell asleep. Yeah, it's really important to schedule playtime or resting time in your day. So sometimes I will not necessarily schedule a nap, but I'll have in mind, like, okay, I have enough time in my day to take like an hour nap or a 30-minute nap. I schedule my own nap times because I'm a child. um, but I think it's important to schedule out your resting time and make sure you get enough rest. Because, yeah, if the body is tired, you got to listen to it. Don't force your body to do things that it really doesn't want to do in terms of like physical um, like activity, because you could really injure yourself. I've done that before. I worked out when I was tired. I was like, no, I gotta push. Then I like hurt my back. But here's the thing, it's like, it's okay I hurt my back because I went to physio. I'm okay. And now I know, don't do that again. Like sometimes our failures are what's gonna teach us best about our limits and how far to push. So it's okay. You know, it's okay that you're tired during your exam. Because now you know. Don't sleep at that hour, or don't be studying right up until the very end. So unknown um, uh, asked a question. Says, "Hey, Mello, I've been working hard on my own art progression, but there will be moments where I overthink too much on a sketch, and I give up and stop. I want to stop thinking like that." So when it comes to overthinking, I'm not sure if this is the same for everybody, but when I overthink, it's usually because I just keep repeating the same things over and over in my head. So it becomes like this vicious loop. And then I find, excuse me, I find that when I write it down, I know I say this all the time, and every single Let's Talk, I'm always like, write it down. But honestly, when I write it down, um, I don't overthink about it as much. Like I kind of just like let it go at that point. I think there's a button where you can request to ask a question or request to talk. But I see your messages. Um, yeah, so basically with the overthinking, and I've noticed this quite a lot with like other artists, like fellow artists, is that you get in on your head a lot because then you start thinking, oh, is this as good as it can be? Are the proportions right? And then you start comparing yourself to other people. My best advice is, I don't know, it's tough because like the type of person I am, I just really don't care about what other people are doing in terms of their progression, I guess. It sounds mean, but it's very much like I really just care about what I'm doing. Um, and I think to get out of that vicious cycle of overthinking, it might just be a case of where you just gotta finish it. So instead of thinking, oh, I could be doing this, I could be doing that, like just focus on what you can do in the present. So like trust me, there's been a lot of art pieces and even client pieces, like freelance work that I've done, where it is not the best work that I can do. And that's because of many factors. It's not because I'm not good at what I do, it's more like there's time as a factor. The amount of work that they're asking for. Like one time I had to do a title page and they wanted like 20 characters. And then they wanted it done in like X amount of time. And I was like, even if I had all the time in the world, it gets tiring working on a splash page with 20 characters. Um, it got to a point where I was just like, I just got to get it done. And I think definitely having a deadline and clients and money on the line will get your ass moving for sure. But not everybody's in that situation. So the better scenario would be to ask ourselves is how do I get out of that situation of quitting in the middle on my own projects? Huh. I mean, do we really need to finish everything that we start when it's for ourselves? Because maybe when we start something, our goal is like, oh, I just want to work on lines. But then in your mind, you're like, oh, I need to finish this and have a full render color. But let's say you finish the lines and you're like, you know what, I'm good with this. This is enough for me. It's okay to just be like, this is good enough. Good enough is the key. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for good enough. You'll find this a lot in the industry where they're like, just get to a point where it's good enough because that's all people are looking for is good enough. Uh, that doesn't mean like, oh, you're being lazy or that you're not pushing yourself because if you're getting what you want out of your goals or out of the each piece that you're working on, then you're already progressing a lot. You're you're doing so much better than if you hadn't done it at all. Yeah, definitely. Like, in everyone's level of satisfaction is going to be different, and I think we just have to be like real with ourselves and be like, okay, this is the best I can do currently, and I'm okay with that. Let's move on to the next piece. When I was starting out doing art, I would never finish anything to a point that I felt like it was done. But I would feel the same way where I would get bored of it and I wouldn't want to work on it anymore. I've done that a lot. And it can become a bad habit for sure if you do that every single time. But I wouldn't say it's the worst thing to be doing because you're still getting that practice in, you're still working your hands, you're still working your brain. You're doing a great job. Like, that's progress. And you're going to work your way to the point where you can finish things to a standard that you're okay with. And again, it comes back to like just pushing yourself. Even if you push yourself like a teeny little bit, like a few centimeters, that's still pushing yourself. Not everybody's capable of pushing themselves with big leaping bounds. Some people they got to take baby steps and that's okay. I take baby steps with a lot of things all the time. I also take really big steps for a lot of things. Like for example, with when it comes to exercise, I just dive in. When I was 20, I started breakdancing, and I just went nose first, face first into breakdancing, because I'm. It was new. It was exciting. I wanted to get my body moving. I wanted to know everything about it, so I was really excited. And but here's the thing: like I don't breakdance anymore. I went in hard, fell off hard. And that's the thing. You don't want to burn yourself out, right? That's exactly it. um, that's why sometimes slow and steady, wins the race. Slow and steady gives you good pacing, good momentum, good stability. If you go too fast, you have the risk of burning out and falling off. And again, this comes back to time management. If you overschedule your day to day, your week, your month, if you bite too much than you can chew, you're not going to stick with your schedule because it's impossible. You can't. There's no way you could do everything, even though you're scheduling it. It's like, oh, like if you book a doctor's appointment and then a um a dentist appointment at the same time, you can't do both. It doesn't make sense. So it's the same thing when you schedule out your own projects and activities and work. Um, and we can talk about how we're going to do that, or at least how I do it, because everyone has their own way of organizing things. I do think being an organized person is beneficial. But if you're not an organized person, that's a-okay. um, but if you do it enough, like scheduling and planning out like bits and pieces of your day, it starts becoming a habit, and you'll no longer need to like write it down or schedule like a whole entire weekly plan. That's kind of where I'm at, where I know my limits and I know what I have to do day to day. But before present day, I used to have a calendar, one of those dry eraser calendars, and I would write everything. I would be like, okay, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I got volleyball. And I would write that every single box. I would be like, volleyball at this hour, volleyball at this hour, volleyball at this hour. And then I would write down my deadlines. I'd be like, okay, I got to finish an art piece every other Saturday. So I'd be like, finish art piece, finish art piece. Like, it would be very redundant, but it helped me get into this habit of pacing myself and scheduling things out equally, and rather than like putting everything on one day or everything in 1 week. I was able to put my eggs in different baskets rather than all in one basket. so so we talked about keeping energy up. We talked about losing motivation. Baby steps is okay. um, yeah, so let's move into um, scheduling. I guess the time management part. Everything goes into time management. It's not just a one way of tackling it. There's like multiple things and factors that go into managing your time efficiently. Because I think what's most important is, again, knowing yourself and knowing how much you can push yourself. How far can you go? Because if your limits is I can only do one thing a day and then I'm gassed out, then you got to schedule out your week like that. If you know that's your limit, then that's your limit, and that's what you got to work with. These are the cards you're dealt with. Let's see. The moment you get too critical, too strict with yourself, expecting perfection, you're letting passion burn intense and bright. It will go out quickly. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So, for example, if one activity, like one thing outside of your day to day stuff, like work, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, doing laundry, we're not thinking about those yet. Those should be natural things in your life and natural habits. So we'll talk about like let's say getting some drawing hours in, because we're all artists here. If you know that 1 hour is your limit, then set 1 hour a day for doing art. And if you do more than an hour, then that's bonus. That's great. That's blessed. But because if you can do more than 1 hour in a day, don't be like, okay, I know I can do 2 hours one of these days, so let's just do 2 hours every single day. No. Stick to your initial plan until you feel so comfortable with it that you're ready to move up. I like to relate things to working out all the time. I know not everybody works out, but when you start lifting weights, you don't start off with the 20-pound dumbbell to do your bicep curls if all you can handle is a 5-pound dumbbell. It doesn't make sense. You work your way up. You do the 5-pound dumbbell, and then when that becomes too easy, if the reps become too easy, then you move up to like the 10, then the 15, then the 17, then the 20. You move baby steps, you move up. So you can think of time management the same exact way. Don't go right off the bat scheduling your whole week with all these things. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to tackle these 5 things. Like, you're going to gas out, or you're not even going to hit your goals, and then you're going to get discouraged, and that's the last thing we want. We want everybody to feel like capable and that they're creating good habits and meeting their goals. Yeah. And yeah, this is the whole thing about working smarter, not harder. Working harder would be like, I'm going to put 10 things in a day that I have to finish by the end of day. It's like, what? You don't even have enough hours in a day to finish all of that. It's impossible. Like, physically, it's impossible. I mean, maybe it's possible, but you will gas out and you will be put out for the rest of the week. You'll do 10 things in one day, and then the rest of the week, you're just tired. You can't do anything. Yeah, pace yourself. So there's lots of ways to use a calendar. I know everybody, I mean, I think everybody has a smartphone. I know some people are like into their flip phones and old school phones, but your smartphone has a calendar. Use it. If you don't have that, use a physical calendar or agenda. There's also amazing web browser apps like Notion. There's another one that I used to use, but I can't remember the name of it right now. But it was kind of similar to Notion, where you could like you have these cards and you can move them around. Anyways, I'm pretty sure if you Google like task manager program, you'll find a bunch. Use anything, sticky notes, anything. Anything's better than nothing. Um, and I would recommend starting week to week. Yeah, Trello, that's what it's called. It's called Trello. Yeah, Trello's pretty dope. I like Trello. Or Google Calendars. But anyways, yeah. So I would say start like if you're new to this, managing your time, writing it down, planning. I highly recommend starting with writing things down. Like I said, when I was doing conventions and freelance work and volleyball, all this stuff, I had a physical calendar and I would write everything down. Because then when it was on paper or like on my whiteboard, I could physically see how much work my week was gonna be, how hard my week was gonna be. When it's all up in your head, you can't gauge the size of work that you have to do because it's in your head. It's not physical. I find when things are physical, you really can see whether something's doable or not. So yeah, start with just the week, and you could try this out right now for the next week because it's Saturday. Perfect time to start a schedule for the next week. So let me get my little planner. Okay, yeah. So I got my little planner. It's called a productivity planner. I could leave a link in the chat of the one that I have if any of you are interested, because I personally really love this planner. I love it because you can make your own dates. You don't have to follow a calendar, like a 2022 calendar. You can just write whatever dates you want. Productivity planner. And yeah, it goes week to week, and I find that it's really helpful. Which one did I get? Okay, I'll find it next, like at the end of this talk, and I'll link it if you guys are interested. But uh, so I would write the date of my week, and then anything that I already know that I have to do in a day, I'll start with that. So for example, if you guys have a full-time job, mark that down. Be like, from this hour to this hour, I'm working my full-time job, because those are non-optional things to do. You can't just skip your full-time job unless you're sick and you take a sick day because you got to recover. But for most of us, we have to go to work. Otherwise, we can't pay our bills and we can't live life because you need money to live life. I know it's messed up, but that's the world we live in, and we just got to accept it. So start off with writing out your like your work hours. Like, block that time out for work. So if you're using like a Google Calendar, just write down like work from X to X hour. And I know it sounds redundant to write from Monday to Friday, work, 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 work. But again, we're taking baby steps. As you get better at doing this, you won't have to write it because you already know in the back of your mind, I got work. But for now, because we're noobs, we're pretending to be noobs at this, we're going to write it down. From Monday to Friday, work. Or if you're like me, Saturday. From Monday to Saturday, work. Now, I'm not sure what everybody's like daily life is like. So what I'll say is the next things you should write out or plan out is stuff that you cannot compromise on. For example, like picking up your kids from school or waking up at a certain hour to get your kids to school. Or doing laundry. Eventually, you gotta do your laundry or else you have no clothes. For example, for me, I set aside Sunday as my cleanup day. I just find Sunday is a nice chill day to do my chores. And every Sunday I'll pick a new chore, like a new house chore to do. I'll always do, I'll be real, I do laundry pretty often because I exercise, so I just do laundry whenever it's convenient for me. I just pop it in. I find that with laundry, if you have a home with a laundry machine, you don't need to block out time for it. But if you live in an apartment, you need to go to a laundromat, then maybe set a specific day to go to the laundromat. But yeah, Sundays I will usually have as like house cleanup day, and I'll pick like one big chore, like sweeping and mopping the floor, and then maybe the next Sunday after that I'll do like cleaning the bathrooms. Oh, and most people got garbage days. Make sure you write that out because you don't want to miss a garbage day. You don't want your house like filling up with garbage. Yeah. So all these things that you know they already have a schedule for, like because the government or whatever already planned it out for you, like, oh, every Thursday is garbage day because that's when the garbage man comes and gets your garbage. It's non-negotiable. I can't be like, hey, garbage man, can you come on Friday instead? Nah, they're not going to do that because it's for the whole neighborhood. So the things that you cannot negotiate on, write those down. Thursday, garbage day. Sunday, cleanup day. So simple stuff. Now, those are just your daily basic stuff. Now you can already see on paper, all right, I already spent X amount of hours doing all this stuff. And don't forget, most people, sleep at least 7 to 8 hours a day. So you don't have to write that one down because I think that's a little extra. But if you want to write out that I sleep from this hour to this hour, by all means, go ahead. So aside from all the daily routine stuff like going to work, doing your chores, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, let's start adding the fun stuff for example, exercise or sports and activities. Sorry, let me just close my door. My siblings are being a little loud. Okay, so now we'll get to like your fun activities. So if you do a sport or you go to the gym, start adding that to your schedule. If you know every other day you hit up the gym, write that down. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, gym day. Saturday, Sunday, rest days. For me, I alternate Muay Thai from noon to evening, depending, because sometimes I like to go in the afternoons. But if my work is too busy, then I got to be flexible with my schedule and not go to Muay Thai that day or go in the evening instead. Yeah, that's a little side note is even though we're scheduling things out, you got to remember you got to be flexible. This is just a guideline. This is not set in stone plans. Anything can happen in your day. Like, I don't know if you got a pregnant wife, boom, you got a baby coming. You gotta throw all your plans in the garbage and get to the hospital and then see your baby come out. That's just an example. Anything can happen in a day. Maybe you wake up and you're having a shit day. We have those. That's normal. And when you have days like that, you gotta take it easy. So all that stuff you had planned, trash. Clear your schedule. Relax. That is okay. You gotta be flexible, even though we're planning all this stuff. These are more like guides for us rather than I have to do this or else I'm a loser. No. So, yeah. Schedule out these things. And then let's say you have goals to hit, like aspirations, like getting good at art or working on your passion project. That should be the last thing that you schedule into your day, because now you see that I have to do work. I have to do the gym. I have to do these chores and garbage day. These are things you have to do. Otherwise, you're not going to live a healthy or fruitful life. Or don't forget groceries. Don't forget your groceries. Got to eat. So now you look at your schedule. You look at, okay, what time do I have left? And I know it seems like you don't have time left, but trust me, there is time. You just got to find it. So, for example, those days you don't go to the gym, that's an extra hour or two that you could be spending doing something else, like your passion project or working on some art or learning a new skill like programming or sculpting. I don't know, anything. But by breaking things down like this, you can physically see how much time realistically do you have to work on your own skills that's outside of work and outside of your daily routine. And I feel like when you start getting more realistic about how many hours in a day you have and how productive you can be within these hours, your goals are going to be more realistic. And this is going to help you stay motivated and keep up momentum in developing yourself and hopefully not burn out or lose motivation. Because, again, we're not machines. We're humans. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have good days. And understanding yourself is the first step. Honestly, it's always the first step, is knowing yourself. And that's the whole point of doing these planners or scheduling out a calendar, is so it's not so you follow it and stick with it to a T. It's actually just to figure yourself out. Think of it as like a science experiment. I'm experimenting with myself on how much I can do. If I can follow this schedule that I set out for myself, cool, that's awesome. Now I know I can do it. If I can't follow the schedule, then that means I'm putting too much into my day-to-day schedule. There's no way I can do all these things. So let's go back, readjust, and figure out how we can get all this shit done and meet our new expectations and goals. You write your hypothesis, you experiment, you test it out, then you come back with the results, and then you readjust. So don't feel bad if you quote unquote fail at following your schedule, because the point of the schedule is not necessarily to be followed to a T. Again, the point is to test yourself, see what you're capable of, and help contextualize all the shit you have to do in a day. Instead of having it swirl in your brain over and over in a cycle, you can put it on paper so that it's no longer wrapped up in your head, and you can look at it whenever you need to be reminded, oh yeah, I gotta do these things. Yeah. That's just an example of how I typically schedule things out. And again, because I've been doing it for so long, I don't need to write it down anymore. Unless I get really, really hectic busy, like I can't breathe busy, then I'll write it down. And trust me, there's things that I've cut out of my life or projects that I had to say no to, or even events that I had to say no to because other things were taking priority. That's another thing. When you write things down, you really understand like what you need to prioritize in your day or in your life even. And yeah, everyone's priorities are their own. I can't tell you what to prioritize, whether it be art or exercise or taking care of your kids. I mean, personally, I think taking care of your kids should come first if you have them, or your pets, but I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying. Yeah, college, school. School is something you pay into. Like, you're paying, most people pay for college. You should probably prioritize for that because it's expensive. Don't waste money. If college is the number one priority, you got to put that into account too. Got to be like, I need X amount of hours to do my homework, study, school projects, and then you got to schedule out, I'm at school from this hour to this hour. So once you have that all written out, you can look at it and be like, where can I fit in some real like time to do art, for example. I'll give you another scenario that's very likely to happen is that you do schedule out time to do art, and then when the time comes, you don't feel like doing it. That's very real. That's gonna happen, and that's okay. Because you know what that means is that you're too gassed out and too tired, and maybe this is too much work for you to be doing. And just means you got to go back, readjust your schedule, and find a time where it will work out for you. I'll give you another example from my own personal experience. When I was learning animation, I was taking a class and there was homework, and I had to finish my homework on top of doing freelance work. In the beginning, I was doing my class assignments after I did my freelance work. This was just last year, by the way. And I found that anything I do past like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., my productivity just shoots down to the ground. And it's not even just productivity, but my line cleanliness and my creativity, my thinking in general is just shitty after 5 to 6 p.m. So this is something I know about myself. So as the assignments got harder and required more of my time, it was becoming more demanding than my job. I decided to change my schedule up. I would do my animation homework and assignments in the morning. Like, I eat my breakfast. I usually start my day, like my working hours, around 10 a.m., which is kind of late for most people. Like, actually, when I decided to change up my schedule and do animation in the morning, I actually started at 9 a.m. So I would eat a really light breakfast, get comfortable in my chair and computer, and just go dive right into doing my animation work at 9 a.m. And I would block out at least 2 hours in the morning to do that. And then once 2 hours, sorry, I moved my mouse. Once 2 hours came, I would pivot, maybe take a little break, get a coffee or have a snack, and then go into my freelance work. Because I know I have a time limit. I know anything that I do past 5 or 6, it's just going to be way harder, and I'm not going to feel good. But don't get me wrong, I would do my freelance job past those hours, but the difference between my animation assignment and freelance work, I'm not going to say is necessarily easy, but it's straightforward. I don't have to be super creative or like learn new things. Like, I'm doing work that I already know I can do, because at your job, I would hope you know what you're doing, or at least someone's going to teach you. But with the animation stuff at the time, that was a whole new skill. I was learning shit from scratch, and there is no way I'm learning new shit after 6 p.m. I'm not going to retain that knowledge. So that's just something I know about myself and how I readjusted my busy schedule to work in my favor on learning a new skill. Um, and it was an animation course, so I knew it was only for a month or two. I only had to change my schedule for 2 months, and then I'll be good to go back to my old schedule. And I already know that I can do that at least. Like I can hold out for 1 to 2 months. Like it's not that big a deal. I'm not gonna die over this. So that's just an example of changing up your schedule to fit um, your needs. And again, I only was able to do that because I understand myself. I can't do shit after 6. After 6, I'm like a potato. After 6, I just want to sleep, eat, watch TV. Um, I do most of my exercise, like my Muay Thai, after 6, which is good because for me, I also know if I go out, I will be awake again. And exercise gives you blood and brain power through your body. So it's one of those pick me up things, which makes sense to do after 6 when my brain shuts off. Need that pick me up. But yeah, basically, you want to figure out your own personal hours, your own personal productivity hours. I actually found when I get really busy, I don't even play games anymore, and I watch way less TV. And to some people, that sounds like a nightmare. It's like, no, I have to play my games and blah blah blah. But I can assure you, if you're doing something that's worth doing, like learning a new skill, doing art, or doing a sport, you're not going to miss playing video games as much as you think. And you will make time to play video games when it comes. Um, like yesterday, I opened up my Animal Crossing for the first time in months just to show off my island to some friends. And I did stay up pretty late, but it's okay because I don't play games all the time. I just played it that one time. Excuse me. And maybe I'll play some more tomorrow. I know I can't play today because I'm busy. I'm very busy with work today. But maybe after 10, I'll have a cutoff time for work. Because freelance, you could work forever if given the opportunity. But I know if I work forever, I'm gonna die of like gassing out and everything and not eating or taking care of myself. So I have my own personal cutoff times for work and my limits. And I'll tell my clients, I'm like, this is not possible for me to do. Like, I'm sorry, it's not humanly possible. And that's okay, because, like, employers, they don't care about your needs. They just care about getting the work done. So you got to tell them. They can't read your mind. You got to tell them, hey, I can only do this amount of work and for this amount of hours. We need to re-plan this so that we can get everything that we need to get done, like done. And if they're going to be difficult with you, well, then maybe they're not the best employers to work with because they think you're a machine. I don't know. They think they're working with some AI machine. Same with school. Honestly, there are times where, like, it happens where enough students are like, there's no way I could get this done in this amount of time. Sometimes teachers are lenient and nice, and they'll be like, okay, you get marks deducted, but you get an extension. Just gotta be real, and real with the people you deal with and real with yourself. Don't dick around and expect an extension when you didn't even put the effort in. If you're showing that you're putting real efforts into what you're doing, whether it be a teacher or a client, a professor, you show them what you did so far and you tell them, give me X amount more time and this is what I can do for you. Give them put it all on the table. Show them what you're planning to deliver. If you can do that, I can almost guarantee you will get your way. Like, it's really hard to say no to somebody that has a clear-cut plan of how to get from point A to B. Because it's like you're showing them. You're showing them right in front of their faces. It's like, this is what I can do if you just give me the time. Let me prove it to you. I think, personally, that's very impressive to see from an employee or from a student. Rather than like, oh, teacher, like, my dog ate my homework and I need more time. Or, oh, teacher, like there's just too much. I can't get it all done. Can you give me an extension? Like honestly, that kind of just sounds like whining and that you're dicking around and blah blah blah. But if you come to me or a professor or whatever, your clients, your boss, and you show them like, hey, like, teacher, professor, Mr. Smith, this is what I did so far. Unfortunately, all these other things came up and I haven't had the chance to do all this research that I'm planning to do. But this is the list, or this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to write out. I'm going to give you this many words by the end of the week if you give it to me. Give them a reason to invest more time in you, basically. Now we're getting into a little bit more business and negotiations talk, but that goes into time management too. It's like, how do you give yourself more time? How do you make time for yourself? Sometimes you got to negotiate it with the people you're dealing with. Even with parents. If your parents are like, you got to do this, you got to do that, get the groceries, do these chores. You got to just negotiate with them. It's the same thing. And I know some people's parents are like, you cannot reason with them. They're just demons beyond all reason. But if you just try it, just try sweetening the deal for them. Be like, I can't do the garbage this week, but next week I can definitely do the garbage and I'll wash the dishes. I don't know, add in something sweet. Or explain to them that you have all these things that you need to do, and if you can just get this one day off of doing chores, you'll make up by doing a little extra the next week or something. Or yeah. I'm not a fan of the whole like, oh, I work so hard already, blah, blah, blah. I'm grinding. I need these hours to meet my goals and blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you why I hate it. Because not one person in our day and age is not grinding. And yes, there are lazy people out there, but everybody is working so goddamn hard to survive. It is not easy unless you're like really rich or very fortunate to be like born into a fortunate family. But majority of us, I'm pretty sure, is we're all grinding. We're all working hard. Not one of us here is not working hard towards our goals. So trust me, I don't want to hear it when somebody's like, I'm working so hard. I don't have the time to do this. I can't do these things, blah, blah, blah for you. Like, I'm working so hard. You don't even know how hard I work, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bitch, I work hard too. What are you saying? Bitch, please. So, yeah. Try your best to not use that excuse of, I work so hard, or I don't have time because I'm working, or blah, blah, blah. We're all working, okay? Life's expensive. We gotta work to eat, to pay bills. Because I can almost guarantee again that if you say that to somebody and they are working really hard, they're gonna feel offended. And then you're gonna get into an argument and risk offending other people. So that's just time that you don't need to spend arguing. You don't want to spend your precious hours arguing with somebody, whether you work hard or not. You rather spend those precious hours actually doing what you want to do, which is like art, or play a game, or watch TV, or you gotta go to work, or take care of your kids. So yeah, don't squander your precious hours on dumb shit. That's another thing. All that gossip and drama. I know it's fun, and trust me, I love a little bit of gossip from time to time. My family loves talking shit all the time. Um, but just don't uh don't spend all your time on it. Again, set a little bit of time for little juicy gossip. We need a little bit of that. It's like, ooh, what's Gary and Mary doing? I don't know. I'm just making up shit. If you find yourself getting wrapped up in other people's drama or your own drama, take a deep breath, take a step back, reassess, and be like, do I really need to be dealing with this bullshit right now? Like, honestly, no. And trust me, because of the type of person I am, I get myself into shit all the time. Like, I say too much sometimes. And then I'm not a perfect person, but sometimes drama will happen. And then I'll be like, you know what? I don't even need to be dealing with this right now. I have like all these other things that I need to be dealing with. So I'm gonna go do that instead of worrying about this background noise. Hold on. Yeah? Okay. Sorry about that. My brother was just asking me about something. But it's almost been about an hour, and that's the amount of time I'm going to set for myself for this Let's Talk because I do have some crazy deadlines today. But that's okay. I'm going to meet those goals. I actually had to not train today at Muay Thai because of my work, but that's okay because it's good to have a rest day anyways, and I need to let my body rest and recover before I go hard on training again. So it kind of works out. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna do more work, like freelance work, and take a break from exercise work. That's okay. But my my original plan was to do Muay Thai today. So yeah, just to recap, um, you we talked about knowing yourself and getting to know your limits, how far you can go. We talked about energy, taking a sip of water. Yeah. So we talked about like energy, how to keep up your energy. Again, the importance of just moving and getting your blood flowing, getting blood through your brain, get active. Um, I talked to you guys about how I personally schedule out my week to week and my months and baby steps. Like, I don't need to do all those things anymore because I've done it so much that I just do it naturally in general. But yeah, baby steps start by writing everything down. Yeah, tackled quite a few topics today. We can talk more about time management at another Let's Talk if that's something you guys are interested in. I think time management, there's a lot to it, and obviously there's so many different ways to tackle it. And I've only told you guys a few things, but I'm sure there are many, many more techniques and um, ways to keep on track with meeting your goals. And a lot of it has to do with mindfulness as well, which I didn't get a chance to talk about as much today. But I think the next Let's Talk, yeah, I'm talking about mindfulness for the for the everyday. Sorry, I got a little cough. Let me cough. Yeah. Excuse me. so the next Let's Talk is going to be 2 weeks from now, and I'm going to be talking about mindfulness for the everyday mind. Meditation is very good. I suck at meditating, I'll admit. My meditation is typically when I'm doing chores or taking a walk. But hopefully, talking about mindfulness will also tie into time management, and I'll try to bring some of those things back up in the next 2 weeks. All right, guys. I really, really, really appreciate it when you guys are here to chill and talk about these topics. I find it really fun, and it helps me know more about like what most people are struggling with or want to talk about. And I just hope that me just sharing my own experiences is a little more helpful than not having heard it. Yeah, so enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, guys. It's been a hard few weeks, but we'll get through it. We'll get through it together. All right, thank you and have a good one.